appreciate everybody who is joining us today for the webinar. Very excited for today's topic in our monthly webinar series. We're joined by partner SPS Commerce, and the topic of today is the benefits of a modern EDI platform, streamlining your operations with SPS Commerce and NetSuite. My name is Eric Levy. I'm the Director of Sales here with Meridian Business Services. We are a NetSuite reseller and partner, and also a partner with SPS Commerce, bringing SPS Commerce into a lot of the opportunities with clients that we work with. I'm joined by Teresa Puzzier and Billy Gahn. Teresa is the Senior Channel Sales Manager of NetSuite at SPS Commerce, and Billy is a sales engineer who will be providing us with a demonstration of the platform. So welcome, Teresa and Billy. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Eric.
A little background on SPS Commerce and Teresa and Billy. Here are the three of us, and SPS Commerce is the leading provider of cloud EDI services. So operating the world's largest retail supply chain trading community, over 75,000 customers in 60 countries. I knew SPS Commerce was big, but I didn't realize quite how big until I saw that statistic. So they truly are a global company, and we are excited to work with them on many mutual customers and opportunities. Excited to have them here talking about EDI and how you can streamline your operations with EDI. So a bit of an agenda to outline today's conversation. I have a few introductory slides to introduce our organization, Meridian, and the NetSuite platform. We'll have an overview of SPS Commerce and talk a little about some of the challenges that we see in distribution, and an overview of the SPS Commerce solution. They're going to talk about some of the benefits of a modern EDI platform. And Billy will show a demonstration of the order-to-cash cycle and how it's all streamlined within the NetSuite platform. So it works seamlessly, and once it's set up, you hardly even know that SPS Commerce is there, just doing everything in the background. So we'll then answer any questions that you might have. So it's a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. Background on Meridian. Meridian Business Services was founded 15 years ago. Really, as a financial services organization, a CPA firm doing CFO services and consulting, business valuations, tax preparation, payroll services, etc. And about 12 years ago, we had our first customer ask us about an alternative to QuickBooks. They were outgrowing QuickBooks and looking for a more sophisticated platform. Really wanted something that was that could be run over the internet. It was before we called it the cloud at that time, and so we found NetSuite for them, and they asked us to implement NetSuite, and since then we've implemented NetSuite at many companies, and really to help to streamline processes across many organizations on the NetSuite platform. A little background on why we work with the NetSuite platform. Really, if you look at the ERP landscape, especially cloud ERP, which is what we are hearing in the industry is the majority of what organizations are looking for. The NetSuite is, by far the leader according to IDC, which is the third-party analyst firm. And the reason being is that all of the ERP modules run in a single code base and a single database. So NetSuite has grown from the ground up, was born in the cloud, and has grown in the cloud, and hasn't tried to bring together many different platforms and piece them together through acquisitions. It really is growing from that single code base and single database, so everybody runs on the same platform and the same version. And that's very powerful. It provides quicker access to data and relatively seamless update capabilities. Another thing that we oftentimes talk about is that NetSuite can't be outgrown. So, a lot of companies will start on NetSuite, a very scalable and modular business model. But when you look at the Gartner report that listed financial management suites of companies of all sizes, so mid-sized, large, and even global enterprises, NetSuite was listed as a leader. So NetSuite can start on it and can grow all the way to, you can't outgrow it essentially. One of the interesting point to mention here is that NetSuite has more customers using Cloud Financials than any other solution in the quadrant. So it has over 40,000 customers on their cloud-based platform and delivers very strong business benefits to the users. With that said, I'm going to talk a little more about NetSuite towards the end of today's conversation, but really want to dive into the SPS Commerce. During the SPS demonstration, Billy will show you a little bit of the NetSuite platform, but I will hand it over to Teresa and Billy to provide additional details on SPS and why we see this as such a strong opportunity for organizations looking to streamline their processes by bringing in EDI into the organization. So that said, Billy, I will hand this over to you.
Great. Thanks very much, Eric.
Perfect. Thanks, Eric, and thanks for hosting us today. We're very happy to be here. So for those of you who are not familiar with SPS Commerce, we are the leader in supply chain management solutions. So we sit in the middle of retailers, suppliers, carriers, 3PL sourcing companies, and we operate the largest retail supply network, which we have 75,000 pre-mapped trading partners in our network. And you can see some other statistics here. We have 3,000 retailers. We have over 400 3PLs. And essentially, we allow companies to exchange EDI documents. And if you don't know what EDI is, it automates the sending and receiving of purchase orders, invoices, and other supply chain documents between the trading partners and suppliers. And then we've built pre-built integration into ERPs, which I'll go over a little bit later. So SPS Commerce, we're a publicly traded company. We just completed our 71st consecutive quarter of growth, so we're a very financially sound company. And we also have a great relationship with NetSuite. We've been very mature integration. We've been a Suite Cloud Developer Network since 2007. We currently have over 900 clients that use SPS and NetSuite. And we employ 55 people on our NetSuite team. And those 55 employees are implementers, support team, project managers, and technical people. So very strong solution at SPS. And we also have a great relationship with NetSuite. So we are the preferred solution for NetSuite as well. So let's talk a little bit about the supply chain. So this is even 5 to 8 years ago, this is your typical supply chain. You would have a manufacturer who would sell to a wholesaler, who would get it to a retailer, and eventually get it into the hands of the consumer. So the to-do list for suppliers was very easy. Essentially, you'd need to receive an order and ship it. So this is a very linear approach to the supply chain, and this is really what legacy supply chain management solutions were designed to do. Now, this is probably much more representative of the supply chain today. So you're going to still have that brick and mortar company you may be selling to, who may be working with the 3PL. So you're going to need to be able to communicate with the 3PL. You could have an Amazon marketplace or maybe a brand site that's specific to your industry. There's a lot of different communication methods going on here, and this is what demands suppliers now to have a modern EDI solution. So the supplier to-do list today is much more complex. Not only do companies need to receive an order and ship it, but they need to ship it to the consumer or the warehouse. And not only do they need to get that EDI right, but they need to get the inventory information to the buying organization. They're going to need to optimize shipping, and they may also need social media reviews as well. So this is what is putting the demand on these legacy supply chains and demanding more of a modern EDI solution. So let me introduce you to the SPS Commerce Network. So over on the left, you'll see the blue squares, and that's what represents our supply chain retail network. Your brick and mortar companies, your suppliers, your distributors, marketplaces, carriers. And then what SPS has done is when they add a new client, they'll take the connection. So let's say you need to connect with a trading partner and able to do EDI. They take the connection and they reuse that connection. And then they create the EDI documents, your invoices and your POs. And what they do is they normalize them. So let's say you're in the food industry, if you will. They'll look at the common business rules and requirements that are needed in those EDI documents for the food industry, and they'll create one for one EDI document for each one of the clients. So let's say Amazon's in our network, and they have 10,000 clients. They don't have 10,000 POs, they have one, and all their companies reuse it. And then we integrate into the ERPs, and we do integrate with most ERPs. Today we're talking about NetSuite. But what this situation does, the SPS Commerce solution, is allows companies to grow. The more companies grow, the more difficult their EDI gets. You're communicating with the different 3PLs, so your volumes are going up, and it gets very hairy very fast. It also allows companies to add trading partners as they grow. We're reusing those EDI documents, we're reusing the connection. All you need to do is connect to a new trading partner. So it's very easy to grow and expand. Our solution is also fully managed, so it enables you to not spend all the time in-house managing EDI. This is our direct integrated solution, and it is recommended for more than 200 documents a month. We also have a web portal, which is some manual, but it also eliminates all the data entry of documents, and it provides a lot of information, not only EDI compliancy. So when you're working with a trading partner, a number of them will say, I will work with you, but I need EDI. So the web portal will provide the EDI compliancy, and it also provides a lot of additional information. Now, this is recommended for if you have less than 200 documents. But also companies use it if they're maybe trying out a new trading partner, for instance, and they want to see how that goes. Before they integrate them, they may try them out on the web portal. Or if you need DR. So great tool, and a lot of people will start out web portal and then move to integrated as well. So those are two different options, if you will, in our solution. So when you're looking for an EDI solution, you know, SPS Commerce might be one, but you may be evaluating it against the different solutions, and I want to give you some insight into that. So if you go with just a basic EDI technology, what they're going to do is test it out, make sure it works, and they're going to hand it over to you. What you're going to need to do then is reach out to your trading partners, get the specifications, what they're requiring to do EDI. So probably for each one of the documents, you're going to get a manual of specifications, and you're going to need to go in there and configure them. And you're probably going to get a manual for each one of the documents, so it's a lot of work. When that's done, you're going to need to have to reach out to the trading partners and coordinate testing. And honestly, this is what clients typically hate the most. It's very time-consuming. You don't know what EDI is, and you're going through a testing, and people hate doing it. Once you get the testing done, you're going to move to production, and then you need to monitor it and support it. So if your trading partner has any changes to the EDI documents, you need to be aware of them, otherwise your orders won't ship properly. So there's a lot that goes into the EDI technology. The other solution is the SPS. We're much more like outsourced EDI. Like I've already said, we do all the connection. We add our clients to the network. We add the connection. We configure the documents. We also do all the trading partner testing. So we have a department at SPS Commerce that maintains relationships with the EDI coordinators. And oftentimes, they know firsthand that changes are coming before they happen. So they'll get in there and change them. Now, if an order does fail, we get an alert because we monitor all of our transactions. So we'll go in and change it before your order fails. So our solution is much more like an EDI department. As opposed to an EDI technology that you need to configure, maintain, and support. The other thing you need to look at when you're looking for a new EDI solution is the overall cost. If you get an EDI technology, it's probably going to be relatively inexpensive, but what you need to also configure in for cost is the data entry that you're going to need to do, the time troubleshooting, spending on the phone with support, chargebacks that you may get from your orders not delivering. With the SPS Commerce solution, what you need to consider is really you need an administrator that's going to be the main contact for SPS, and there will be some minimal amount of work. So the product we've been talking about this time is fulfillment, and that's our biggest solution, but we also have a full suite of solutions on the supply chain management. One is sourcing, and that is really for companies that want to expand their product availability online, and it's a super cool product. What we did is we created a website called retailuniverse.com. And buying organizations can go in and look for, or suppliers can look for buying organizations. Let's say that, you know, if you're looking for a 3PL, you could also look that up. I like to say it's similar to a match.com for retailers and suppliers. We also have a solution around assortment, and that allows you to manage your product content. It's very difficult to get accurate item data and inventory into the hands of trading partners or retailers. And it's also hard for buying organizations to really aggregate and do something meaningful with that information. So we created a solution on assortment to help with that. Fulfillment, we've already talked about fulfillment, exchanging EDI documents. We have a solution around analytics, and that really gives you a bird's eye view of your inventory and sales data. And then we also have a solution on community, and this is actually how we got into business, and essentially what it is if retailers want all of their suppliers to leverage EDI, we can onboard them, make calls, educate clients or users on EDI. We can onboard them onto our web platform or give them other options. So that's kind of an overview of our solution, and at this, I will pass it over to Billy for the demo.
Yeah, so we'll flip into the demo environment here, and really the goal is to give you an idea of the day-to-day process, order to cash within the NetSuite environment with the SPS Commerce solution. So, like Teresa covered just now, SPS does a lot of work in the background to get orders to a NetSuite environment. We handle all of the translation, we handle all of the mapping, the communication with retailers, whether that's from a simple connectivity standpoint of, sending information between an AS2 connection or a VAN connection, an FTP connection, all the way down to actually setting up the connection in our system and notifying them of those changes. reaching out to them with the information so that they can then send the EDI purchase orders through SPS, and we can then integrate into the NetSuite environment. So all of the different, different retailers have different requirements. We take those and formulate them into a format that can be integrated directly with the NetSuite environment. So you can see here on my screen right now, I'm just showing the SPS Commerce dashboard that is within the NetSuite environment. We deploy this to the NetSuite environment, and users can customize and personalize these different portlets within NetSuite to meet their specific needs. We see a lot of customers using, the order exceptions search or a sales order price mismatch. That way they can see, okay, this item on this order isn't being found in the cross-reference, or pricing doesn't match what I have set up within NetSuite. They can manage that all entirely within the NetSuite environment without having to go out and use, a separate middleware technology and do a lot of setup out there. They're training their team on one process, the NetSuite process, and we're aiming to make EDI really a byproduct of fulfillment through the NetSuite environment. You can see, they can see shipment export histories, inventory export histories. We can touch on a few of those things as we walk through this. But what SPS does is we take all of the different orders and we import them directly into NetSuite as a pending approval sales order. From there, a NetSuite user, customer service team, they can go in, they can review a sales order within the NetSuite environment, check quantities, pricing, make sure that, inventory is on hand and sufficient to fulfill the order. They approve the order within NetSuite, and SPS can actually then take that information about items that were approved, accepted, rejected, back ordered. The user can call out those different statuses for an item, and we can then take that information from NetSuite and send it to the trading partner in the EDI format that they require for something like an 855 purchase order acknowledgement. Customers can then go through and fulfill their orders, so creating their item fulfillment record within NetSuite, selecting where items are located within a warehouse, or even if they have a third-party logistics partner, they could send this item fulfillment record outbound to the 3PL for fulfillment. If they're fulfilling on site, one thing that should be noted here is we deploy additional functionality to the item fulfillment record to allow customers to be able to send an advanced ship notice from NetSuite. NetSuite typically handles all of this tracking and package information here in the packages section, but our package content section allows the customer to get a little bit more granular with that information as is required by retailers on a ship notice. So typically NetSuite will handle this by saying, 100 items are in this item fulfillment record, and here are 5 associated tracking numbers. Retail partners really need to see that not only did you ship 100 items, but that you shipped 10 cartons with 10 items in each carton to make that 100. They might also require a label. So we deploy functionality to, one, gives you the ability to auto-pack based on a specific item. If the user has specific packing rules with this trading partner, they can auto-pack a shipment so that instead of, adding a new package one by one and selecting which items are going into that, if, item 1, 2, 3 always ships 6 in a box or 12, 8, 10 in a box, that can be set up to auto-pack. Obviously, if scenarios arise where that simply can't be done, you can still create the new packages and build those within the item fulfillment record, a package at a time. So someone working at a shipping station packs up their items, puts it into a box. They might even use a warehouse management system. We work with a lot of those, from RF Smart to PaceJet to Oslink to DSI. Those systems are designed to work with the SPS solution in tandem. So being able to write that information either into this package content section, or SPS can take that information directly from a warehouse management system and convert it into the EDI format for the 856 advanced ship notice. Some of those solutions may allow you to print labels. Others may not, or if you're using the standard NetSuite functionality, you may be looking at a barcode label software. we actually have a label API that, based on the information within the item fulfillment record, we can build those labels and deliver them back to the NetSuite environment. So SPS is handling the label format. So if Amazon changes their margins to be, an inch from half an inch, we actually make that update in our label API and push that out to all of the users, whether it's a NetSuite user, whether it's a 3PL that simply uses our label service to print barcode labels for different retail partners. That pushes out to all of the users, and that's the same way we handle those different EDI document changes, being able to make that change once in our system and push it out to all users at the same time. So we've picked, and now we're going to mark our item fulfillment record as having been packed. You'll notice here we have this button that says Create Advanced Ship Notice. A customer can set up workflows, scripts, save searches within NetSuite, and the SPS functionality works with all of that automation capability within NetSuite. So a user may want to have a step where they click this Create Advanced Ship Notice, but it could also be a scenario where once something is marked as packed, that automatically triggers the sending of the Advanced Ship Notice. And we then send this information to the NetSuite file cabinet, where our web service call is going to pull every 2 to 3 minutes any information that's been made available. So it could be a purchase order acknowledgement, it could be the ship notice we've just created, it could be an inventory advice or an invoice. We're looking constantly for that information to pull that and send it to the trading partner in real time. So getting them the information about the shipment as soon as possible, because obviously that is a very time-sensitive document. And then just to kind of, sum up, to kind of put a pin on the fulfillment process here, the user can create their invoice off of the sales order. We deploy this integration status. Again, it could be something that through a workflow or a script automatically gets set to ready. But when the user saves that invoice, we see that integration status as ready. Again, the web service call pulls that information. It's marked as a sent status. So it gives them the ability to look not only here on the invoice and see that their EDI invoice has been sent. They can also, again, use the dashboard with the reporting that they can set up here with saved searches. And we also have an ad hoc reporting tool, so in real time, customers can see their data flow through SPS. We can set up daily reports that sends information about the last 24 hours worth of data that has flown through SPS to individual users. And we can also set up a 997 exemption report. So the 997 EDI document is really a check that says, yes, we've received this document to our system. If for some reason a customer sends an invoice from their NetSuite environment, we validate that information and passes through to the trading partner and we send it to them. If within 24 hours we don't receive confirmation that that invoice has been accepted, that is going to trigger that report to go out to the customer and notify them that you sent this invoice at 11 in the morning on Tuesday. It's now past 11 on Wednesday. So instead of having to wait and find out, net 30, net 60, net 90 days when you don't get paid that the invoice wasn't received, you can find out within 24 hours that, okay, Amazon hasn't received my invoice. I need to create a case with them to see what the issue is. That way you're not having to wait. You're being able to be more proactive instead of reacting to the trading partner. And we can help support you in that in terms of reaching out to that partner, passing along the actual EDI data that we've sent so that they're receiving the information, that's required and making sure that everything is working on their end. Just a couple other things I want to touch on is a lot of customers have questions about, well, I use a different buyer part number with all of my different partners, or where does all of the, EDI information really get stored within NetSuite? Well, some customers with other solutions have to have a really customized sales order for each individual trading partner because of EDI requirements. We tackle that in a very different approach than other providers. Because we've deployed a solution that actually works within NetSuite, we deploy fields to the NetSuite environment. So ship to codes, purchase order types, things like that don't really have a place to live within a NetSuite sales order and can kind of clutter your sales order when you try to add custom fields for all those things that the day-to-day user doesn't necessarily need. So we've actually developed a solution that lives within the sales order, within your item fulfillment record, to store this information. So it can be kind of tucked away here, but a customer has the ability to view all this information. They can edit information within the NetSuite environment. And we can obviously write this information to other fields within NetSuite, but oftentimes a lot of these fields don't necessarily have a place, or there isn't somewhere that the user needs to see it. So it's a little over 80 fields that we deploy to help kind of catch that information. And this is also kind of what helps us have a much more streamlined implementation process and allows us to really, you know, quickly and efficiently move through the testing process with partners, because we don't have to, you know, build a brand new sales order record with you. We don't have to customize your current sales order record. Your team doesn't have to learn a different process for each different retailer. We can grab some of that information, store it here, so that they don't have to be keeping track of all of that in separate sales orders. From a cross-reference perspective, we actually deploy that at the item record. So here within NetSuite, you have your inventory item. I'll scroll down here, and you can see we can create item cross-references for different trading partners. So you could have your Amazon ASIN number, your Target buyer part number. These things can be set up within your NetSuite environment using the standard item setup process. So not having to go out to a separate, you know, cross-reference software to make sure that the information is showing up appropriately. This is how we're able to show you that, you know, your items are going to show up on the sales order, not a random buyer part number that the user may not recognize. And we talked about the auto pack functionality on the item fulfillment record. That can be set up here. These pack rules can be set up at the item record as well. So depending on your trading partner, depending on how, you know, you pack things, you could say if it's a 12 by 12 by 6 box, 2 of these items fit. You could have larger boxes that fit more items. Again, trying to streamline the process on that item fulfillment record to make the shipping process as quick as possible. And then the last thing, you know, Teresa touched on how complicated the EDI environment and the retail network has become. One of the things that we're seeing more and more is the inventory advice requirements. So we actually have a script that we deploy to NetSuite. It gives the user the ability to schedule inventory advice transmissions with a trading partner. So some partners might require that you send an inventory advice on the inventory that you have on hand for them every day, even on the weekends. Well, sure, you can log into NetSuite and you can send that on a daily basis, but not a lot of people want to log in on Saturday and Sunday to do that, even if it is a pretty quick process. So you can actually set this up to run every day on weekdays at a specific time. This is going to actually pull the information about inventory on hand for a certain partner on a regular basis. So helping to really streamline that so that the partners have the inventory information that they need, so that, you know, you're not getting orders for items that are out of stock or discontinued, and you're getting orders that can be fulfilled. You're not getting overbought on different things. So really working with your ability to track and maintain inventory within NetSuite, and really advancing that out to your partners so that they can see that information as you send it to them. So I think that's really everything that I wanted to cover. I think, Eric, we've planned a little bit of time for Q&A, so I don't know if you've gotten any questions, but I think I will be passing the controls back to you eventually, but I think we had a little bit of time scheduled here for Q&A if there is any.
Sure. Before you do that, Billy, I was wondering if you could go back to the SPS Commerce tab and had a question just about the dashboard. I think you covered that in a little detail, but wanted to touch on that a little more, you know, how you have all your information right there in the NetSuite platform.
Yeah, so really what a customer can do here is you can link directly to, you know, item cross-referencing within items. As an order comes in, you could see if, you know, that item hasn't been found. It would take you directly to the order so that you could, you know, add the item cross-reference, and then from there you wouldn't have to update that again. It would maintain that going forward. Price mismatching, things like that can show up. Really all of these portlets are, in a way, kind of saved searches within NetSuite that are displaying the information. So, you know, a shipment export history showing, you know, the shipments that have gone out off of an item fulfillment record that's been marked as shipped. Customers could look at and have a a portlet here that would display, pending approval sales orders that haven't been viewed or, approved at that point. Really, the goal here is to give you the ability, or give the user the ability to truly personalize this, to show exactly what they need on a day-to-day basis. And because of the way our solution is architected to be within NetSuite, you could extend this into, the home screen, where a user logs in and they could see saved searches related specifically to EDI orders that have been received, so that they can see that right when they log in. It doesn't necessarily have to strictly live within this SPS dashboard. It can extend into the NetSuite environment wherever it's needed.
Well, excellent. That was very helpful. Just in terms of the implementations that you've done, and maybe Teresa, this would be a better question for you. What's the biggest surprise that organizations have, or the biggest result that they see, after they go through the implementation and are up and running on the SPS Commerce successfully?
Yeah, that's a good question, Eric. I think one of the most common is that clients are surprised at really how easy EDI can be once it's integrated. Orders just come into NetSuite, it just works. And when they compare against all the time they take to manage EDI and to support it, it's surprising.
That's a great point. One other question is, can you elaborate at all on, NetSuite has been really pushing the Suite Success program, streamlined implementations. Can you elaborate how SPS plays into NetSuite's push with the Suite Success and maybe, what you've seen along those lines?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Suite Success is great for customers. It gets them up and running as quickly as possible. We're actually the only solution that's certified to work in tandem with that Suite Success process. So we have a number of successful Suite Success implementations already completed, many more ongoing as well. Really what happens there is, we've got the experience with NetSuite and their implementation team to work alongside, so that as a customer is getting their NetSuite environment up and running and they're doing the configuration and testing within that environment, we can actually install our bundles to the NetSuite environment so that you have that EDI process in place. We can work through, our best practice in those scenarios, making sure that testing is being done alongside the NetSuite setup. So being able to go order to cash within NetSuite, we can then start the testing process on a trading partner by trading partner basis, depending on, what's going to bring the most value to that customer, hopefully getting as many partners as possible live when NetSuite goes live. Part of the big benefit there is, some customers go through their entire ERP implementation and then they think, oh, yeah, let's just add EDI in. Even with the solution that we deploy, that's not a seamless change oftentimes. You don't just bolt on an EDI process. I think, in that demo we kind of show that it is really intricate within the fulfillment process. So as we set up the EDI process alongside the ERP, you totally avoid having to go back and rework those customizations or rework workflows within NetSuite. Not having, train your entire organization on NetSuite and then, oh, okay, we're actually going to retrain you on NetSuite and how to use it with EDI. The goal is really to truly make EDI that byproduct of what's already going on within the NetSuite environment. We fill in those sort of, small gaps that are there from an EDI requirement perspective, because a lot of the information is already there within NetSuite, but, getting it into the correct formats and transmitting it to the partners, that's where our solution comes in. And working alongside Suite Success projects, we've seen a lot of success in getting customers live on EDI at the same time that their NetSuite environment goes live, because of our coordination with the NetSuite implementation teams.
Absolutely, and I think that's just as you're saying that, Bill, I think you hit the nail on the head there. We had a recent client, as a mutual client between both of our firms, that went live on, is about to go live on Suite Success, and one of the things they said they really liked about the project and the approach was they could see from day one, the NetSuite platform, they could see their business to a certain degree running in the NetSuite platform, and then we customized it. So it isn't going away and building out these processes in a black box and then coming back and saying, here, is this what you expected? And I think that plays in very well with SPS's message on EDI and doing that early on in the implementation process as well. So it's all seamless and really comes together. So that's a great example. And for those that might be joining the call that aren't familiar with NetSuite Suite Success Program, it basically is a streamlined way to implement the NetSuite ERP platform. So I kind of look at it as building a building instead of starting out from the ground level and architecting a large building and building it from the ground up. It gives you the framework. It gives you kind of the structure of that building built out, and then we customize that to the exact business needs and processes. So it provides a starting point and is a much more agile approach to doing an ERP implementation than traditional. I think that plays very well into SPS's messaging and their approach as well to the marketplace. So, when we talk about all this technology, a lot of times, organizations say, what is the end game? Especially in small and mid-sized businesses, for every dollar that's spent on technology, in a lot of cases that could be an extra dollar that's in the owner or the principal's, pockets. And so what is the benefit of putting technology in? We really look at it that technology can make small businesses more agile and competitive. So Gartner calls it the nexus of forces, which is the combination of cloud, data, social, and mobile. And you don't have to be the next disruptor in your marketplace to have a huge impact, especially as a small business. It really gives small businesses the chance to compete on an even playing field by investing in powerful technology that can be implemented quickly and at a fraction of the cost of previous software. So coming back to SPS's point of not needing SPS Commerce is the EDI department, so you don't have to, have somebody that is in your organization that's managing EDI, that's worrying if the technology is going to work, if the transactions are coming through, if the trading partner makes a change to their documents, if that's going to work with, your system. It just works seamlessly. And I think that's a big change that we're seeing with technology, is that when it's used properly, it gives small businesses the opportunity to create customer experiences and agility that really is difficult for large companies to replicate. I saw a statistic the other day that I think, and you might have seen it floating around LinkedIn as well, that 50% of the Fortune 500 companies that were around 20 years ago are no longer around, and it's because of agility. It allows organizations to create a level of agility, especially in the small and mid-sized market, that wasn't available previously. But an organization has to know how to capitalize on that available technology, and more importantly, the willingness to try. And that's where organizations like Meridian and SPS Commerce come in and helping you evaluate the technology and helping you leverage that technology to gain the biggest benefit from it. So when we look at what I would call this shift in technology, this is the old way, the electronic spaghetti bowl of systems, of trying to tie all these different systems together, one for accounting, another for warehouse and inventory management and e-commerce and CRM, where really the approach to NetSuite is one unified platform. And you even saw how SPS has really built their processes into this unified platform. So it's really a development platform for organizations to be able to build workflows and develop suite apps like SPS Commerce that are built natively in this platform and just work seamlessly. So you don't have all these different systems to manage, to go to. You don't have fragmented data, processes and silos, multiple user interfaces. Like Teresa said, it just works. You don't have to worry about these integration points breaking when you upgrade one system. Another way to look at this as well is the availability of information across all of the different departments, and we call that the Customer 360, the Item 360, and the Order 360, having a 360-degree view across all those different pieces of business, because in a lot of cases, the system of record is different for each one of those, especially in the e-commerce world, than the NetSuite approach of having all of that in one system. So you have one place for all your customer information, even abandoned cart and session analytics, which I see is very beneficial in B2B transactions online. You have your item master. You don't have to have a separate PIM, a product information management. So you're able to create vendor awareness, and then on the orders, you know, all your transaction flow-throughs, as you saw, your fulfillment activity, everything is in one system. So we look at the reasons why running your business from a cohesive integrated system, you know, provides the benefits that organizations are seeing running NetSuite. You know, one, it improves employee performance by monitoring the goals and achievement. Another one that I'll add to that, this is maybe a 6.5 on this list, is that in terms of employees, when new employees come in, you want them to have, they want to be able to leverage technology, especially younger generations. And I've seen organizations where they hire new employees and their systems are running on a black and green screen, and the employees left a month later because they didn't feel that the organization was investing in technology and investing in their ability to be successful, but providing them with a modern technology platform. You know, it also allows for managing by exception. So how do you find those exceptions like we saw on the dashboard of the SPS Commerce screen that need to be dealt with? Instead of trying to weed through all the data, bring those right to the forefront on a dashboard. You know, it saves, this plays right into that same point, saving time and money by surfacing the right data. Along the same lines, removing human error. So no rekeying of data, all of your data in one system. And that helps you to focus your company on the priorities that matter. So by putting the metrics and the KPIs and being able to create custom KPIs for your employees, the key performance indicators, for your team members, they're able to focus on what really is the top priority for them and for the organization, and bringing together the whole organization, all the operations within your organization, and that allows your business processes to scale. So I really appreciate everybody's time today. If you're interested in learning more about NetSuite or SPS Commerce, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at sales@meridianbusiness.com. We will look forward to seeing you at our January webinar. We will be announcing the topic shortly. In the interim, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season. And once again, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.